Hi, Jeff Atone. How's it going today? First of all, I'd really like to thank everybody that tuned in last week, well, this whole week, and watched the fairly long video that I shot about gear at the top of the range. I know we had, I think, a really spirited discussion about that. Obviously, I don't know how many minds we've changed, but regardless, I thank you very much for spending the amount of time that you did and try to keep this one a little bit shorter. So anyway, I think it's worth going into just a tiny bit of detail about, you know, what our review process is and what our review goals are. You might find we're a little different than some of the others. Really, it's not about us being the know-it-alls. It's about us trying to help you create a short list for the gear that you'd like to audition and possibly ultimately purchase. I mean, it's a big decision whether you're spending $200 or whether you're spending 20,000 or whether you're spending $1 million. I mean, it's still, that's it's always hard to part with your cash for new stuff. So what we've tried to accomplish in our reviews, whether you've been reading us for a long time or you're new, it's to really get to the point and help you determine if this is a component that you'd like to audition and perhaps at some point purchase. But it is not. It is not. It has never been. The goal of our review is not to make you write a check. The goal of our review is to get you to seek out more information. I suggest if you enjoy a review that you've read here, read 4, 5, 6, 10 other reviews elsewhere. See where things intersect and see where things diverge, and really find out, as much info as you can as possible. Then once you've had the time, if you can audition this component either at a dealer, at a friend's house, perhaps at a hi-fi show, all of those things combined will help you decide if this is the component for you. But our reviews, to me, really are just to help answer as many questions for you as possible so you can decide, am I interested in this or not? I mean, we take a pretty straightforward approach. We don't put manufacturer specs in the reviews because, to me, that's a lot of information. You can just click on a link, which we always provide. I'm not someone who's ever hung my hat on measurements. I know that's probably going to start a whole new line of argumentation, but the reason I don't feature measurements in Tone is because taking measurements is one thing, being able to really interpret measurements is a completely another story. I do not design and build high-end audio equipment. Therefore, I don't feel like I'm qualified to really assess measurements. And again, I've had the good fortune to talk to quite a few of the top designers in audio today, and most of them will tell you that measurements are a place to start. So again, there's enough people out there on the web doing measurements. If measurements are your thing, either A, change the channel, or B, go find the guys that do the measurements. And again, hopefully that stuff will help you make your purchase decision. It's just not something I've chosen to hang my hat on here at Tone. And after that, it's basic stuff. I mean, if you and I were having a drink or having dinner and I just told you that I bought a new amplifier or new speakers or a new DAC, what would I tell you about it? And that's how I look at a really good review. Is it big? Is it small? Is it heavy? Does it generate a lot of weight? Does it not? Is it a big thing for me is really how hard is a component to set up and optimize? As you well know, if you've owned more than a couple pieces of gear, you know that some things are fairly fiddly and they require a lot of expertise to set up. And you need to decide, is that for you? Do you need to get a dealer to set it up? Do you need to hire someone to set it up? Or is that a pursuit that you really enjoy and feel comfortable with? So we try and let you know, I guess for lack of a more scientific term, the fiddliness quotient of a product. So because that's important, if it really leads to frustration if you get your hands on a component that you can't optimize. So we try to help you, avoid that. After that, it's basic its basic functionality, its look and feel, you know, how many inputs, how many outputs, how much power, how good's the remote? I mean, a lot of times too, you know, the functionality that a remote offers is very important to some, is not important to others. So then ultimately, to try and figure out sound quality, where is it? You know, is this something that is more to the warm side of things? Is it more neutral? Is it more etched, resolved, that kind of thing? Again, you all have a very specific view in your heads of what sound should be, what music should sound like, and that those things will always be more important to you. So again, can we describe that well enough that it helps you? And you know, by and large, after that, there's really not, you know, other than that, really, truly, other than that, I think the other thing that's important is how long does a component take to reach its ultimate sound quality? Some people call that break-in. Some people think break-in doesn't exist. That's another video for another day. But assuming you're with me that that does exist, our experience has been most components sound great out of the box. I've never, in over 2,500 components, I've never had a piece of gear that sounded like rubbish when I pulled it out of the box, and then 200 hours later it sounded amazing. That for me has never happened yet. But there is usually a modest to moderate change in the character of a component's sound once it's played for well. We try to describe that. Does it take 24 hours? Does it take 100 hours? Some products that have very big, very exotic capacitors tend to take a couple hundred hours. Even, I mean, Audio Research has a slip on the inside of the box that says this component takes a few hundred hours to sound its best. Other manufacturers have that too. So we try that, make sure to let you know where that is on the spectrum. And, you know, then, you know, how well does a component play with others? Especially, this is probably the biggest question with speakers and amplifiers. How easy do they interact? You know, how long does a speaker take to break in? How hard is a speaker to set up? Some speakers are relatively easy to set up. Some speakers really take a lot of time to optimize. And, you know, again, with speakers, how well do they do in various sized rooms? I have 4 rooms here, all varying degrees of sonic excellence. I mean, my living room is dreadful. But yet, by the same token, I always feel that that room is a great place to start because I think it's kind of an average room. You know, it has no room treatments, it has hardwood floors, some big windows. So if it's easy to get sound in a room like that, or if I can get a system to sound good in that room, I know that pretty much anybody's going to be okay with that proposition. You may not want room treatment. That may not be an option for you. So you need to know that. So again, hopefully all of those things will make it easier for you to decide if this is a component you'd like to seek out. Is this a component that you'd like to live with? And that's always been the most important thing here. Hopefully help you make that decision, and that hopefully we're leading you to a handful of components that you think will make your music system reveal more music. That's it at the end of the day. There's no best this, there's no destroys this, there's no annihilates this. We don't do that. The conclusion really ultimately is up to you. And I always hope that what we've written will help you with that journey. So again, hey, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you soon.